Is Chainlink getting set to break out? Let's look at the data. Hey everyone, welcome back to Upside Down Data. Today I want to talk about Link, which has been going on a moon mission recently, and whether or not this might be the push that can get us out of this godforsaken range we've been in for more than a year. So if you've been following Link, you've probably seen it has been going on an absolute moon mission. It is up currently about 42% off of the lows in mid-September, been just chugging along to the upside. Now, if you look at this in the context of this broader range that Link has been in, you might say, okay, we're getting up, we're testing local resistance ever since February of this year. But really, even if we break above these levels, we shouldn't get too excited until we get up above these levels, up around $9.5. That was where both of these run-ups, or all three of these run-ups, reached their highs before coming back down into the range before, back here in 2022. So you might look at this and say that people are getting overly excited by what's going on right now. And maybe that's the case, but there's another way that we can look at Link that suggests that we're actually at a much more critical level than you might think just looking at the price alone. And that's what happens when we flip over to the market cap chart for Link. So if you're not familiar, market cap is just price multiplied by circulating supply. And there are a couple of interesting things you'll note here, and I actually posted about this on X a few days ago. One of the things you'll notice is look now how all of these notable tops for Link for its market cap have happened right around the same levels where I put this red box up here. And also, interestingly, notice how all the lows happen right in this green box down here. And this is notable because if we go back to the price chart, you'll notice that this looks quite different. Look how back here in June of 23, we set in new lows in price relative to what happened back here in May 22 and June 22. When you look at market cap, these were all at the same levels. May 22, June 22, now over here in June 23, all at the same level. And then same thing with the tops, whereas these tops were lower than these tops when you look at price. So what's notable here is that market cap has been painting a very clean range this entire time. It has been topping out at the exact same levels, more or less, and it has been bottoming out at very similar levels, more or less, not setting in new lows in June 23 like price did. So how is this possible? Why is it that market cap looks so different than price? Well, as I explained in the post that I put out on X a couple days ago, the key thing here is circulating supply. Ever since Link went into that range, ever since May of 2022, its circulating supply increased by just under 20%. And because market cap is, as I said, price times circulating supply, basically you can have price kind of trending slightly down, but because the circulating supply has gotten larger, that then ultimately leads the market cap to look like this, be in that same range. But then what's important about looking at this also is that we might think that really the critical thing here then is not necessarily that Link's price break above $9.5, but maybe it's more important that Link's market cap breaks above roughly 4.67 billion. That would be the ultimate top of this wick back here in June of 2022. Maybe that's really what we're looking for. And so even on the price chart, it might look like there's still resistance ahead of us. Maybe the thing we should really care about is, can we break out of this range on market cap? And so that's where right now is a critical moment, because Link is right up in there, is right in this red box right here. And if we can clear above that, Link's price might still be below these levels, but that would be an initial sign that we might be breaking out of this resistance that's held consistently here 5 different times, and maybe the regime is really changing. Maybe Link will actually finally have the momentum to break us out of this range. So that's where I think watching what happens right here is going to be really important. Can we finally break above? Now, I think another thing that's notable is that this Link move here, I think, has caught a lot of people off guard. But there's some other things that we've been looking about and talking about for a while that suggest that upward movement for Link, it shouldn't be especially surprising. So this is our forecast model for Link. If you're not familiar, it predicts probability of upside for Link 6 months in the future. And I posted this quite a while ago. This is back in July of this year. And what I was saying is that the forecast model was quite bullish for Link at that time. It was thinking that the price of Link being above where it was right then, 6 months in the future, was quite high. And it looks like it's possible that some of that is playing out now. Now, again, it doesn't necessarily mean we have to go ripping off to the upside. It was printing those super high confidence levels back around here, and so far that's been the case. And so it would still be right even if we got stuck in this range, but maybe the higher part of this range going out towards the end of the year. What it is suggesting is that from that model's point of view, ever since back over here, it was saying that up was a very reasonable place for Link to go. And if we just go and look at Link's price, we've set in a higher low here. Now, what might be nice to see is that higher high, which could coincide with a breakout of this market cap range to really see us going further. So I should mention, if you want to be able to view the forecast model for yourself, you can go over to our website, polaritydigital.io. And if you sign up for our Polarity Digital Pro subscription service, you can get live access to the forecast model for Link, in addition to all of our models for Link and other assets that we monitor. So why is this happening right now? Why is Link showing such strength? Well, I think the narrative going on right now behind Link really has to do with its cross-chain interoperability protocol, CCIP. Anyone who's been following Link is very intimately aware of what this is and what it does. But in brief, it's a protocol that is promising to be able to link together any different private and public blockchains together and allow them to interoperate, to be able to move tokens between them seamlessly, to interact with smart contracts on other platforms than the one that you're starting off on. And this has gotten a lot of hype, and it's already started to get some usage. If you just go over here to this Dune dashboard, which is looking here at the cumulative revenue that CCIP has produced, it's already up at just under 100,000. And this is all while Chainlink, or CCIP rather, is still in its early access phase. It's mostly just being played around with developers. It's not been rolled out in a more fully fleshed out way. It's still very much the case where things are getting up and running here, not at all its final stage. So I think that's notable. And so I don't think that this appreciation of Link's price is really because of demand for Link to use CCIP. I think a lot of this is the hype that goes along with that. It's a great narrative. It speaks to Link to be an important potential asset in terms of crypto infrastructure going forward. And if I didn't mention before, the fees for CCIP use Link. So that would be one of the reasons why there'd be that demand, and it's a nice narrative to go along with it. I think that's part of what's going on. I think the bigger question then is, will this be enough to really break us above this resistance? Or will this just end up being the 6th time that we get up to this range, get rejected back to the downside? And so that's where I think watching what happens in the next couple of days is going to be really critical. If we get rejected hard back to the downside, then we might have more time in this range that we have to wait out. But if we can slice up through there, that might suggest that this painfully boring period in Link's history might be getting near its end. Now, just because we get above it doesn't mean that we're necessarily away and off to the races. What you might expect to be a more healthy development if we do break above is to come up and then eventually come back down and retest it and hold it as support. And then if we can bounce off there and start moving up, that would be a lot clearer of a signal that we've been able to flip this resistance into support, which might mean then that we're able to start moving back up to these higher levels that we haven't seen in quite a while. So we'll have to watch and see how that plays out. But the first thing that we want to see is a breakout above the range. And then most likely it would be nice if we were able to go back, retest and hold as support, move up further from there. Now, the other things that we want to watch as well is what goes on with the broader crypto market. So one of the things that's notable is that we're just, as I'm recording this is on the 30th of September. So we're just about to wrap up the month. And Bitcoin didn't really do anything all that impressive this month, but notably it did close up above where it opened, or it's looking like it's going to close in the positive. And this is notable because September historically has not been a great month for Link. If you believe in any kind of seasonality, people were talking about this going into September, saying we're going to go way lower, things are going to look terrible. September is usually terrible for Bitcoin. But it's not been a lights out September by any means, but we're still positive, which is a good sign. And the other thing that's notable is that seasonally, October has historically been a really good month for Bitcoin. So one of the things that we might want to watch is, will that be the case again? Do we see another move up in October for Bitcoin? Another Uptober, as people are calling it? And I think if we see that, it would give wind at the sails right at this critical moment where Link is testing these critical levels that could help it really break to the upside. That if we suddenly get a surge of positive sentiment in the market, we get more people, more money flowing in, Link has a great narrative right now that could really help it move above. Now, there's some other things we're going to have to watch, though. We're going to be wanting to watch Bitcoin, of course, but it can also be useful to watch other factors in the broader markets to get an idea of what might be reasonable. So I'm showing you here is the DXY, which is the strength of the dollar relative to a bunch of other fiat currencies. And the reason why I'm showing this is that the DXY has tended to be inversely correlated with crypto. So for example, back here in 2022, as the DXY was ripping off to the upside, Bitcoin, the rest of crypto, risk assets were getting destroyed in that time. But then as the DXY fell off, that's exactly coincided with when Bitcoin started to move back up and the stock market as well. So what we'd like to see going forward here into October is if the dollar does set up a local high here and starts trending back down in the coming days into October, that would be another thing that would give a tailwind to risk assets, including crypto, and you might think that Link breaking out to the upside might be more likely. Likewise, with the stock market, I think if we see the DXY starting to fall off heavily, it would not be surprising to start to see the stock market start to move back up from here. Currently, it's been retesting these highs from August of 2022. We'd really like to see it turn that into support here and be able to start moving back to the upside through October. And again, that would be another thing that would give wind to the sails that right at this critical moment for Link could help it break above those levels. So I think it's going to be really important to watch the next few days, next week, next couple weeks, that if we start to see those things develop, if we start to see Bitcoin showing a lot of strength in October like it has before, if we see the DXY fall off heavily, if we see the stock market recover, then if we see this continuation of that narrative fervor around Chainlink, that could be the perfect storm to finally get us out of this godforsaken range that we've been in for more than a year. So obviously nothing is guaranteed. We're going to have to see how things play out. But the setup is certainly there. And so if those factors come into alignment in the coming days, I think it's not at all unreasonable to think that we might finally be able to break out to the upside. And again, some of our models have been thinking that getting bullish on Link is reasonable. So of course, none of this is financial advice. We're going to have to watch and see what happens. But this is one of the things that I've been looking at recently and wanted to share, get on everyone's radar so you can watch it as well. But of course, up to you if and what you do with the data. Obviously, all that's up to you. All right, if you like the content, remember to subscribe to the channel, give the video a like and follow us on Twitter, and go check out polaritydigital.io to see our live data from our models and more.